So as you come on live, say hello, hello, hello. Tell me where you're watching me from. If you have a question, this is the time to ask me that question. And if you're watching the replay version, you can ask me a question too. I will acknowledge your question. I will link you to one of the many videos or blog posts that at 𝗘ซี้𝘂'𝗿.com to answer your question in detail. I'll answer it right there in the comment section. All right, tell me where you're watching me from. Are you watching me on Facebook at 𝗘ซี้𝘂'𝗿 page, or are you watching me live on YouTube at 𝗘ซี้𝘂'𝗿? I do this every single night at about this time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. All right, if you're watching this on a replay version on Instagram, come over to my Facebook page or my YouTube channel and watch me live. Ask me questions in real time. All right, so I just come in, check in with you. Not necessarily have an agenda. You guys, I'm getting a lot of feedback. You guys, hey, I really appreciate you coming on, right? I've got a pretty easy setup to come on, just connect with you, our mutual passion of fitness. Even if we just hang out, you guys seem to appreciate it. I would love to answer any question that you might have. I really come alive when I'm actually interacting with a real question. I know you're watching on the other line, rather than when I say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to talk about. A coaching client past week asked me about it, and I thought this would be something good to share from that. I mean, I work at one level there, right, doing this so many videos, but I really come alive, and I really love it when I'm asking your question and even going back and forth as I come here live. I mean, that's what makes it really exciting to me. Hopefully, you know, if not now, you're thinking of a question, and maybe on one of my next live broadcasts, you can join me and we can have that interaction. And again, if you're watching the replay version, like most men do, post a question down below. Maybe that's where I will start off and make the whole video about your question. Hello, 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 Pete. Great to have you here, sir. As always, I appreciate you being here every time. Hello, William. Hello, hello, hello. That's our welcome, our greeting for Workouts for Older Men Live, if you're new. Kenny, hello, hello, hello. Great to have you here, sir. Manuel Hernandez from YouTube, right? And Pete, William, and Kenny are watching on Facebook at 𝗘ซี้𝘂'𝗿 page. What's up, Skip? This is Manny from Arizona. Manny, so glad you are watching me here today and joining us. Again, if you have any questions, I want to do everything I can to help you. I am going to share something. So I do all these live videos, and you know, I work with you know, so many men, and so a couple of things that, you know, because I deal with so many people, and you know, I kind of think everything I say is brilliant, right? I mean, I know what it is you want. I know what you're going through. I probably answered your question 1,000 times. I know how it relates to your lifestyle, being a little bit older, and what you're hearing out there. There's a couple of things that brought a lot of clarity, a couple of, you know, ways of explaining that brought a little clarity, a lot of clarity to some men going through this fitness journey, and maybe that's helpful to you too. All right, and actually both deal with nutrition, and it's the same philosophy when it comes to training too. Is one thing that I explained to one gentleman, because a lot of men, they've heard that nutrition is important, and they know, and they probably clean up their diet, but they know that next level is more attention or knowing whatever distinctions about nutrition. They know that's the key, but they got here with only knowing so much, and it got them here, and they're kind of hoping that if they worked out harder, maybe add some cardio or whatever it might be, you know, whatever that missing, and it's different for everybody, what they're missing when it comes to nutrition, maybe they can just keep on doing what they're doing with nutrition. It got them here. It's pretty good. And maybe the right training routine is what's going to get them to the next level. They hope that's it, even though they know it's nutrition. And one thing I always say, you got to know how many calories that you eat. Now, are you in a calorie deficit? How many calories you should eat? Well, all of that is moot. All that information is useless unless you know how many calories you eat, and not, well, I eat clean or I eat these type of foods. That's not helpful. The organizing principle, you got to know how many calories your body can, it can optimize with maybe more calories, or it can slow down with lower calories. And so, calorie deficit, that's not always helpful. A lot of men who come to me who look pretty good just can't break through to get lean, and they're really worried about preserving that muscle as they get lean too. They naturally kind of clean up their diet, and they're just more disciplined than most. And man, they're eating like 12 or 1,500 calories, and they're working out hard, right? And but they don't know it, and they don't care to figure it out. They've heard that they should track calories, where some of the young guys, it doesn't matter. I don't count calories, and neither should you. Well, you got to know, to crack this code, you got to know where you're at. Are you eating 1,200 calories, 15 calories? Are you eating 4,000 calories? Do you have any idea? And again, how the quality of food that you're eating, it doesn't matter for this purpose, this starting point, right? But you got to know how many calories they eat. And so when they hear that, it's just too overwhelming. So, get an app, get MyFitnessPal, and don't punch. You're not punching in your height and weight and your favorite color and your mom's maiden name and your favorite pet's name, all that information. You're not doing that. You're not going to that app so that it'll spit out how many calories that you should eat. You're using the reference of foods that you can use on an app or anywhere on the internet to determine, when you're in a pattern, how many calories are you eating? And it's just too overwhelming because they conflate it with the type of foods and when should you eat and how many meals. And so they do nothing, right? And so what I found is the most serious guys who look pretty good, the chances are great that you eat the same foods and about the same amounts, probably 70% of the time. All right. You find out what works, when you're hungry and you're working towards a goal, every meal isn't some source of entertainment, right? That there's a certain price to pay. You enjoy those foods. So 70% of the time you're eating about the same foods and the same amount. With that being said, how many foods is that really? Right? 15 at the most. For something this important, that the nutrition is important, really, how long is going to take you to look up 15 foods? Really? Right? To give you a sense of where you're eating. Here's the other thing. Now, some people, kind of the standard is to never cheat. And, that's, some people, what is cheating food? Is there such thing? Some guys think that, if it's not chicken and broccoli, that's not clean food. Some people think a Subway sandwich, is clean food. So that isn't as important as you might think. But even if you ate foods that, this isn't healthy. I mean, I enjoy these foods, whatever. It can be pizza, burgers, it can be a Subway sandwich, whatever. Something that is in the 30%, or you enjoy your meals, whatever your wife makes. You're not going to make her cook chicken and vegetables every night, for dinner. So you have, regular people food, right? Just say 30% of the time, if that much, right? You think about it, when you go off your 70% of the clean foods that work because you're dedicated, right? How many of those really cheat food meals are, do you really eat there, right? We kind of settle on our own personal preferences. Is that really more than 15 foods, really? So even with all the variety and the flexibility, all right, when you have the right thinking patterns, really the research to find out is probably 30 foods. 30 foods, that's plenty of variety if you're serious, right? But we don't break it down. We don't frame it that way. We think, there's endless amounts, endless types of foods. How can I count those calories? But if you really do believe, could you track 30 foods to get an idea of how much you eat? How much you should eat, a calorie deficit, how do you get in and what's optimizing? That's a separate question that is useless. It's totally useless to go to that second part of the answers that you need when you have no idea how much food you're eating or why you should eat that much food. So that's a framing that, men have found useful to attack this all-important area of nutrition that they want to minimize or put out, right? Another thing when it comes to nutrition, a lot of men, don't move forward because the macronutrients, right? You can't eat carbs, or can you eat carbs? Well, how much protein do you need, right? Uh, how much fat should I avoid fat? So when it comes to the macronutrients, mind blown, and they don't move forward. And I'm just going to tell you that there's different diets that they all work because there's certain organizing principles that make them work. Some have more protein than others. Some have more carbohydrates than others. And yes, you can eat lean, getting carbohydrates. And fat, you need fat in your diet, right? And so they kind of think, well, what's the exact percentages? So I don't know what it is. I hear so many things. So I'm not going to do anything, right? And I always say, it's not like a combination lock, right? Like on your back gate, right? Where, the combination is 37, 10, 27, 37, 10, 47. It isn't like you got to clear that drum 6 or 7 times and go to 37 and then go counterclockwise, passing 10 once and then go right to 10 and then go directly to 27. And if you don't have that syntax or that order, that gate isn't going to lock. Well, that's a combination lock. Many men kind of think that's what it is for macronutrients. It's not at all to build muscle and lose fat. If you're anywhere around 30 to 40% protein, and yes, you can have carbohydrates. It can be 30 to 40% carbohydrates and 20 to 30% fat. If it's even in that ballpark, you're moving forward. Certainly better than, I don't know what to eat. I don't know how many calories I eat. I'll just put that off. I want to look great. I want to get under that 20% body fat. I want to look better than, not just better than 80% of the men my age, because they're not even working out. I want to get in that elite 5%. But I'll get to this nutrition part. You're not going to avoid it. So hopefully that framing breaks it down. I know the experts, it's their identity. You can't know this stuff. I got a PhD. Now I'll take your money and teach you how to do it, but you do it by yourself, and you didn't get an education like me. I always think that's interesting, because if they're taking their money, what are they teaching you for the next 6 months? And then the information, it evaporates in your brain, right? It gets deleted from your brain, like only when you're with them. Can't they take their PhD and all their information and simplify it so they can teach it to you, take your money until you can have it for the rest of your life? If that's true, well, now can't anybody take that simplified, practical information and share it with other people? Does it have to be something that is so complicated, right? So hopefully that framing helps you attack this, because a lot of success in life is mindset. It's mindset. So let's see here. We got some questions here. All right. I want to acknowledge you, all of you. All right. William says, hi, Skip. As we get older, do we need the same amount of carbs for our workouts? What's the same? Does everybody eat the same? You need enough to fuel your workouts. Now, some guys don't handle carbohydrates the same, diabetes, blood sugar, right? So it's not true from anybody, but sometimes how many carbs you need. Some guys are eating no carbs and they're able to, work out and create an overload stimulus, and right. Some guys think they need a lot. So, I don't think that's an age thing. Sometimes it's a mental thing in your body, right? I'm not convinced that when you're younger, you necessarily handle carbs better than others, or you need more for your workout, right? Russ, hello. Great to have you here, Russ. Manuel Kenny, author says, I stopped lifting heavy weight and moved to lightweight, high reps. What should I expect? Well, you should expect that even though you're using lighter weight, when you get to that end of the set with more reps, it should be challenging. It should be overloading, right? So that's doing more than what you've done in the past. Challenge yourself, taxing yourself. And if it's lighter weight and you feel that challenge that's pushing you on the 12th rep or the 15th rep, you got to do that, right? To really stimulate that growth, maintain, build that muscle if you're going to do it. And, so doing with heavier weight and feeling that earlier in the workout with fewer reps, it should work out the same. right? It's a preference sometimes, and knowing what you're doing. William says, the diet part has always kicked my butt with all the info out there. It gets confusing. Yeah, I totally understand that. And that's what I help. Look, if you really want some one-on-one attention and you want to just, not just keep on living this, not just being better than most, reach out to me. I'm going to post in the description of this podcast. I have so many different ways to help you because everybody's different. I got a lot of men. Hey, Skip, I just want to go on a journey. I want to push myself. I want some accountability. I want to learn what I need to do. I want to not waste my time with the stuff that isn't important. Take me through the process, 12 weeks. And I can totally simplify this process so they have it for the rest of their life. All right. They want that type of attention and that type of guidance. There's a lot of guys who are highly motivated and maybe they only need a couple of coaching sessions with me, and I can surgically identify what's throwing it off, the key things they're missing, right? And they can take it with their motivation from there, right? And there's a lot of different ways. So I'm going to post how to get a hold of me, and we'll talk. Well, I talked to 2 men yesterday, and we talked for about an hour, and let's just say they got the information they needed, and we decided that coaching wasn't the best thing for them to be worth their value, right? So I'll do whatever I can to help you to explore it. If you've been doing this for a long time and just can't seem to crack the code, you're better than most, but you just know there's that higher level. There probably is. I want to use my 32 years of experience doing it, and most importantly, helping out men like you crack that code. I'll do it through communication, through our one-on-one coaching. So, William, it kicks everybody's butt, but I really think it's more about framing and overcomplicating and never really digging in to it. Manny says, I've been trying to get back in the weight room, but I just can't stay consistent. Any advice? Yeah, why is it important to you? Why must you get to the gym? I mean, if you're happy, your life's happy enough, it's functional enough, and you built this kind of life without going to the gym, right? Unless something's missing, or you just, something's got a fire in your brain. A lot of times it's pain. I must do it for whatever reason. I use the example of The Rock, right? Well, why would he stay in such shape? Why is that important? Well, that's his identity. That's how he makes his living. That's his reputation as a professional, as a superhero. He can't make a movie in less than top shape, leaving it all on the floor, right? What's he going to do? Well, I kind of cheated on my diet. I didn't work out very hard, and I knew the movie was, I signed a multi-million-dollar contract, but I just couldn't stop eating the food or couldn't get to the gym, right? He's got his identity. He's got a commitment. He doesn't want to let people down. He doesn't want to have to refund the money, to give up on his promises. All those investors for the movie that shook his hand and put in $1 million for this movie because The Rock was going to be in it, right? There's a lot of reasons why. He doesn't want to show up at the Cannes Film Festival for the release on the red carpet and everybody's looking at the big debut, and he's saying, I wish I left it all on the floor. I should have trained a little harder. I shouldn't have had so many cheat meals. He's not going to do that, right? Because it's so tied to his identity. He must, to avoid pain and pride. And he's got all that why is important to him, working for him. So we can all say that, but I don't have, those things working for me, right? Well, we all have to think what's important to us. And again, if you have a decent life and you haven't gone to the gym, that's going to make it tougher. Now, if you have health concerns and the doctor's saying you better start watching once you better start exercising, and you get scared straight to start working out. Well, I've had a lot of men who are in that situation. They still can't get going, right? It's not going to happen to me or whatever it is, right? So even something like that, can't work well. I mean, the reasons why I stayed consistent over all these years, it changes, for me, having been almost 60 years old here in a few months, and having an 8.5-year-old and a 7-year-old who, man, I left it all on the floor during all these years. And because I play like no tomorrow isn't guaranteed. I got to leave it all on the floor. Like I said, I got to live. I got to love with a sense of urgency. I got to produce for them, right? I mean, so much, it's like the rock. So much is tied, to my identity, how I provide for them. I want to do the math, what kind of shape am I going to be when I'm older? My mother, uh, she's has Alzheimer, and everything that goes with it being older. And, the family, worrying about the draining, the financial things that, taking care of it, and I can think ahead, and because, we're at this age, I know we think we're 25, but, do you want that burden? Do you want to, do you want to take care of yourself now so you don't have to be that burden? It doesn't have to end up that way for you. I mean, it's how real you make this stuff, right? And, just looking better in the mirror and for more confidence. There's a lot of ways to become confident, and you might have a loving wife and your kids love you and you're productive at the job, even with those extra 30 pounds. So sometimes that's not enough. If you made it this far, you have a pretty decent life, right? But you got to figure out that why. Manuel, tell me if that's helpful, right? You know what I'm going to do? And I'm going to post that. Reach out. If you're watching this, text me at 925-352-4366. I'll send you a questionnaire. I like to do what I do these goal setting sessions, really get you to explore emotionally why you want it, not just your fitness, but everything in life. And sometimes I'll award these hour and a half, what I call these goal setting sessions, really emotional process to get you connected, why it's important to you. And I just ask skillfully, I've done this for years. I've learned from the masters in personal development and motivation. And it just gets you clear, because I don't know your why. And I don't know the intensity of the reasons why you want to get in shape. And maybe you don't fully realize them either. Maybe you're pushing away some things, you've rationalized it. And maybe this conversation will kind of get you really in touch. Maybe invoke a little bit of a sense of urgency, a little bit of pain. I must do this now. I can do this now. But we all have this combination that we have to figure out for ourselves. Let me know if that's helpful at all. Hello, 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 Bruce. How are you doing, sir? Charlie, hello, hello, hello. The new McDonald's diet healthy. What is the new McDonald's diet healthy? I don't know that one. Is that something that I posted about? I forget right top of my head. The wide receiver, ex-wide receiver for the Bengals. He was talking about how he just shoves down those calories, and in McDonald's is a way, because he burns it up, that he eats those calories. Is that the one you're talking about? I don't know if there's a new McDonald's diet. Don't know about that, JJ. Hey, Skip, as we were older. Okay, I answered that one. You're welcome, Kenny. James, hello, hello, hello. Glad you are here, sir. Manuel says, thanks, Skip. Yes, very helpful. I need to know my why. I can do so much more than just say, you need to know your why. I'm so skilled, and I do this with my one-on-one coaching, right? Before you're going to absorb and prioritize the training and eating strategies to actually do it, you got to get your mind right, or they're just words. It's just another routine, another diet that you're not going to do. I want to help guys kind of unravel that by these skillful questions that I ask. So it's not something so generic about you got to know your why. Let's help you figure out. I've got skills to help you figure out your why. All right. All right. So there's some great questions. Thank you so much. Joining me live on Facebook, that's at 𝗘LGBT page, and joining me on my YouTube channel at 𝗘LGBT. At this time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, at least for now. I'm going to be doing this every night, jumping in. So I love your energy live. Leave your comments, even if you're watching me in the replay version. All right, so let's live today with a sense of urgency. We have to when we're a little bit older, right? Let's work out. Let's eat right to support our workouts with that sense of urgency. Let's produce at the job. Let's connect with the people we care about most. Let's fulfill our legacy, right? We do have more time behind us than we do in front of us when we're a little bit older. We got to live with that sense of urgency. Just seize every single day, right? So thank you for joining me. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the loves, the likes, and shares in advance. And I will meet you on the next live broadcast. And look down below if you want some one-on-one attention. Let's talk about it. We can talk about it. I'm very accessible. I do that on purpose. Even if we decide that one-on-one coaching isn't the best fit for you, it'll be great talking to you. Maybe I can reframe and help you get a different perspective of the challenge. And maybe that'll make all the difference in the world. Right? And I know these videos are great, but the one-on-one attention, it's mind shifting. It's reframing, and it gets you in that right direction. So passionate about my one-on-one coaching if you haven't noticed. All right.